So good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Healthy Hangout. Our presenter tonight is Jada, and she's going to introduce a testimonial. So if this is your first time here, we're so happy to have you here. Come back next week. And for those of you who are seasoned, enjoy. And Jada, take it away.
I'm really excited tonight because the person who really sort of inspired me to try Optavia is our testimonial. Pam and I have known one another since we were probably, I don't know, 5, maybe 4. Yeah, little bitty kids. Went all the way through school together. And a year or two, well, a year and a half ago now, my husband had talked to me about his friend who was losing weight with Optavia, and I kind of shrugged it off because I said, well, that's a guy. He's a guy. He'll lose easier anyway. And I had just sort of brushed it off because I was so discouraged about losing weight. And Pam had posted on Facebook about her journey. And when I saw it, there was something that she said in the verbiage, I don't remember, but it said something about habits. And I contacted her and I said, hey, what are you doing to lose your weight? And she shared with me about the program too. And it was just very, very exciting to me that she was successful. So she inspired me. I tried it, and I'm going to allow her to talk and share her testimonial about her journey. So Pam, unmute and go ahead.
Hey everybody, thank you Jada for asking me to do this. I didn't know there was going to be this many people, but anyway, here I go. In 2019, maybe May, June, one of my coworkers who doesn't work on the same floor as I do, but she comes to our office frequently. She came to our office, and every time she was there, I saw her getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So I asked her what she was doing, and long story short, she told me and my boss about Optavia. And so, of course, we were a little bit skeptical at first, so we decided to go in together and buy a kit, and each of us try it for 2 weeks, so to see if we thought we could do it before we bought our own kit. So that's what we did. And after the first week, I think I lost maybe like 7 pounds the first week, and she lost maybe 5. And so we went ahead and ordered our individual kits and got going. And, we were supportive of each other because we spent every day together. So it was really easy to do. I'm single and live by myself. So I don't have anybody to cook for, and I don't like to cook. So it really worked well for me, having the 5 fillings a day and then having my lean and green. And we would either eat a Zaxby's Cobb salad for lunch, or I would grab a salad on the way home and eat it for dinner. So between, I would say July and January, late January maybe, I had lost 70 pounds. And I had gone from a size 16 to a size 9 juniors at Belk's. And for me, that was huge because when I was in high school, I never wore a size 9. I was always like a 12. But I got down to maybe 5 pounds less than I was in high school. And I felt great. I had so much energy. I just felt great. I was happy with the way I looked. I was happy with the way I felt. And then COVID hit, and everybody got sent home to work. And it wasn't so much a struggle at first because I still had feelings, but I had tried to slip into maintenance somewhat. And at first it was working well. I still had feelings, but I maybe wasn't doing 5 and 1. Maybe I was doing like 3 fillings a day, and then I was eating my healthy salad and, just doing well. And I was maintaining until probably July. So I went home in March, so April, May, June, and then July I started I was under a lot of stress and working from home, and I have family. My daughter's in California. She's a travel nurse, and it's now going on 2 years since I've seen her and my grandson. So all this stress started just raining in on me, and I got depressed, and I stopped spending money on Optavia, and started reaching for other things that I did not need to eat. And I knew I did not need to eat them. So I decided to sell my house. I did that. I moved into an apartment. And from that point until now, I probably packed on 35 to 40 pounds of the 70 that I lost. And I'm not happy about that, but I know that this program works if you work it. I'm not happy about it, but I can't be too discouraged. Jada and I have talked a lot about it, and she's been just a great support system for me. And I gave her permission today when we talked on the phone this morning, or yesterday. I gave her permission to stay on me because my boss and we're not doing it together anymore. She's getting ready to retire, and she's doing her own thing, and we haven't worked together, that much, and we don't see each other every day to support each other anymore. So I've lost my support system. So Jada is now my support system. And so I just know that if I do what I'm supposed to do, if I do what I did the first time, then I know that the weight's just going to start coming back off. I've got a wedding in Memphis in the end of June that I have to have a cocktail dress for. And so I've got to get some of this weight off before that trip. But I know that the program works. I know what I have to do, and I know what the end result can be. And I plan to get back there and be where I was at 150 pounds and feeling great. So I know I can do it, and I will do it.
Thank you. Thanks, Pam. The transition to maintenance, this is just kind of a little caveat, is so important. And I think sometimes we kind of shift gears and don't quite get that maintenance part in. So if you're on program and you're getting ready to transition, follow the program, follow the plan to transition. I think, and it's like Pam said, the program absolutely does work. So we'll run into our topic. Last week, Pam Clark was talking about sleep, and she mentioned how sleep impacts our weight. And it was interesting to me as I was listening to her, because I had already been planning on talking a little bit about the topic for tonight. And I'm going to share screen here. I said that the topic sort of sounded like, sort of sounded like a Star Wars episode of, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope, in fighting the resistance. Most of us have heard of insulin resistance, probably, everybody on here. And if you're a type 2 diabetic, I know you've heard the term insulin resistance. But who has heard of leptin resistance? Has anybody heard of leptin? Leptin is actually a hormone that's made by our fat cells, and it's designed to signal our brains that we have enough fat stored to carry out our normal activities. And the way that it's supposed to work is really kind of neat. We're supposed to eat, and then the excess of what we're burning is stored as fat. The fat cells create leptin to signal our brain, hey, we're good now. And our appetite is supposed to be decreased. So I'm reading this and I'm thinking, obviously something went awry with the whole leptin signaling system. And as I was reading in the Habits of Health, the more that I read about this, the more I realized that, yeah, I was right. Something had kind of gone awry. If you have an air conditioning unit and you keep running the temperature down in the 60s and even in the 50s and just let the unit try to run, what's going to happen is it's going to freeze up. And it's the same thing with our leptin. The leptin is supposed to function like a thermostat to turn off our appetite. But if we're continuing to eat, and there are other factors also, but it basically freezes up and we become leptin resistant. This little slide kind of shows, what's supposed to happen is the fat signals the brain. If we're in starvation mode, the leptin is supposed to be reduced and it's supposed to increase our appetite. But what happens if we become leptin resistant is that we're building up the fat accumulation, but the brain is only receiving part of the signal and it's not turning off the appetite. What creates the leptin resistance? Pam mentioned one of the factors last week, a lack of sleep. When I was reading for tonight, it said even after one bad night of sleep, the leptin levels in most people is up. So it starts to be accumulating pretty quick. Too much stress. Do any of you guys have too much stress? I mean, life has been stressful for many or most of us. Eating sugary, simple carb stuff. And this was interesting to me, especially high fructose corn syrup lends itself to leptin resistance. And then yo-yo dieting. When we go into the situation where we really, really restrict. I've been on diets where I was under 1,000 calories a day. And then I come off of that diet and go into binge eating, and then the guilt and the restriction, and it just kind of goes back and forth. And that creates or helps to create the leptin resistance situation. This was really interesting to me, and this was kind of my aha moment. Was I had made the remark to one of my, I don't remember if it was Jen or if it was actually my personal coach, Krista, but I said, sugar for me is like alcohol to an alcoholic. When I eat the sugar, it just seems like I want more of it and more of it. Well, what happens is we become leptin resistant. The fat cells are overstuffing. We're producing all the leptin in the world, but appetite's not cut off, and the food actually becomes more stimulating and more rewarding to our brain. So the areas of our brain that are receiving those signals, it's like, yeehaw, the more food that we're eating, and especially the sugary things, your metabolism and other dynamics at play in your body begin to think you're in starvation mode. And what happens then is you crave the foods that are going to increase the fat stores. So is this not the perfect storm? Signs that you could be leptin resistant is overweight. It doesn't seem to matter what I do, I can't lose weight. Inflammation in the body. This is something that I really noticed with myself, and I've noticed it with a number of clients that I've coached, is when they first go on to plan, it's like a big dumping of water. Couldn't stay off of the potty. And then all of a sudden the joints and the gut and all of these places that have been carrying so much inflammation feel so much better. And the inflammation in the body is a sign of leptin resistance. And then, quote, uncontrollable junk food cravings. I would kill for sugar, or I would really just like some chips. High sugar, high fat. Those are all just kind of signs that we may have some leptin resistance going on. So how do we combat that? First thing is little to no sugar. And there was a time in my life that would have been like, oh my word, really? But at this point, I know that's totally doable. Get some sleep, adequate sleep, and then reduce stress. So does this sound at all, the low to no sugar, adequate sleep, reduce your stress, does that sound like a program that you guys have heard of? When Dr. A designed the program, he knew about this. He knew about leptin resistance. He knew about leptin and insulin and all the hormones that regulate how our bodies use energy. When he says lay off the sugar, That's why. When he says, hey, get some sleep, get your body on a schedule, this is why. And the stress management that's all throughout the resources that we have in our life book and in Dr. A's Habits of Health, that's why, because it's by design. It is just extremely important to work the program as it's designed, because it's designed to correct what's happening in our metabolism and our hormone production. It's not just about limiting calories. I've had some clients who wanted to use the program as just kind of a way to reduce calories, or I'll use the plan some, and then I'm going to incorporate some other things with it. But it doesn't have the result because it's not correcting what's going wrong in our metabolism to begin with. And the reason that the program gives the kind of results that it does is because it is correcting some of these metabolic problems that we've worked ourselves into. It's just much more important than the little fat roll that's poking out from under our bathing suit, under our arm, or the saddlebags, or the dad bod belly. When you hear about stuff going on with your metabolism, it's wear and tear on our engine that we're using to car about in the world, you know? I mean, this is the only one of these that we get. And it's just so important to work the program as it is, and to keep that formula. And I just want to encourage everybody tonight just to work the program and trust the program, and work every single aspect of it as you learn. You know, nobody's going to do everything perfectly there at first, but I've had so many folks that just don't get into the to the life book. They don't get into their life book, they don't get into the Habits of Health book, and they just don't know the wealth of information that's in those resources to help us take care of the one and only body we have. Just want to open up for just a minute or two for people to maybe talk about, you know, some of your experiences in trying to lose weight before Optavia. And then, you know, maybe some of the signs that there was some leptin resistance going on with your metabolism before. Anything that you might be able to relate to, or the inflammation. Does that sound familiar in anybody's journey?
Yes, I'll talk if you want, Jada. I've been under a lot of stress lately for work. Been getting into the sugar a little bit too much. Had 6 adults here for the 4-day weekend that we had a big wedding this weekend. But my joints are hurt right now. My shoulder hurts. And I'm just like, why? Why do I feel so crappy? Well, that's why. So this was awesome tonight. I mean, I knew this, but it's always good to hear someone else say it.
Yeah. You know, in nursing school, they talked about these things just kind of in brief. I mean, you know, and you hear it, and you go through and you take the test, and then you go into another subject maybe, and you forget. And I just had really not thought about it, how any of this was at work in my own body. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd be happy to share. So I started the program for weight loss, but in retrospect, I had just as much reason to join the program for the anti-inflammatory benefit and the better sleep and the better ability to deal with stress. And, you know, what I realized actually a few months after I reached my optimal weight was I can't remember the last time I needed to take an allergy medication. I mean, I occasionally sneeze, but I was taking decongestants both in the morning and the evening, pretty much every day. And I just, somewhere along the way during the weight loss journey, that just stopped. And also the aches in my knees and my hips, that all just went away.
Mhm.
And I really appreciated you walking through the science behind what's going on, because I hadn't tried too much to lose weight prior to doing this program, but that was partly because when I did try, I didn't have much success. And so I think the leptin resistance was a big part of what was going on. So thanks.
You know, when we in society, when we hear of people who have anorexia, everyone knows that's an eating disorder, and all of the physical problems that come with it, as far as, you know, losing muscle and losing all of this stuff. But when we're overweight, people don't think of it as an eating disorder. They think of it as laziness, stupidity, you know, carelessness, anxiety. You know, you don't care about just all of these things, but they're real physical. You know, this is an example of the physical science behind the weight gain and how difficult it is. It is an addiction. Your body is craving these things, and it's breaking that cycle of addiction. And it's not as simple as just stop eating that bag of potato chips. It just isn't, you know.
Something that I read as I try to read a little bit in the Habits of Health each day, and something that I was reading, Dr. A was saying that, you know, no habit is broken easily, and you don't really break it. You replace them with things that are healthy. You replace the bad habit with something that's constructive. And that's where, you know, our fuelings are taking us from the day that we start, where probably the cravings and the temptations and just the struggle is so much more intense. It's replacing with something that's good for our body. It's giving our body what it needs nutritionally, in a balanced way. And it's just, you know, that's just a key element. It's only part of I've used the analogy before. It's one leg on a four-legged stool. Leaning into your coach, you know, okay, if I'm struggling with an addiction to things that I don't need, then I need to have that person for accountability and encouragement and support. And I need to lean into them, not run from them when I've messed up. The books, the resources, it wasn't there to weight the box down, you know, for UPS to have to drag it up the steps. They're there because they are so just rich with information that can help us. Because at this point, when I'm starting to crave sugar, it's like in the past, it was, I want this. You know what? I don't want that. There's a part of my brain that's misinterpreting. It wants that, but I don't. And I'm in charge. So it makes it easier to do that stop, challenge, and choose of, you know, no, I don't want to go buy the Reese cups. I actually want to be healthy. I want to lose the weight. I want to be comfortable in my body. I want my body to last a long time. So it's just so important that we work the entire program, and work through whatever we're going through metabolically with our bodies and get to a healthy state. I said, you know, I had an aha moment. I mean, this has just made me so much more passionate the last few weeks about my own health and about the health of my clients, the folks that I'm coaching, that I'm responsible to encourage and support them in their journey. It's just made me so much more passionate, because I realize it's not just cruddy choices, although that has contributed to it. It's also what's going on in my metabolism and what I have jacked up in the meantime. And I don't want to leave it that way. So I hope this will encourage you that it's not meant to be an excuse or a crutch. It's meant to be, this is the reality of what is going on at a cellular level in our bodies. That's the reason you're craving. but we still have choices, and we can begin to make good choices and move toward a much, much better state of health. And that excites me that it's possible. So I'm going to turn over to Mitzi.
Jada, that was so wonderful. Such great information, such a wonderful presentation, and so good, and so much that we can all take away and use, really use in our day-to-day choices, and understanding really that science behind it all, because when you start to understand it, it really does make a difference as well. So thank you so much. And Pam, thank you for your wonderful testimonial. Welcome back. And yeah, you're gonna do just so well. So that is great. I'm going to put the Habits of Health call. Oops, that's not it. Sorry. I was going to try to put the Habits of Health call in for everybody. Let me just copy and paste it. I thought I had it, but I didn't. And with the topic in the 8:30 call, it's not copying and pasting. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. It's not copying and pasting. It's copy and pasting the convention information. Well, anyway, check it out. It's on hydration. It's wonderful at 8:30. I don't know if anyone else can. I don't know why it's not copying it. So, and if you're a coach, oh, there it is. There it is. Yay. If you're a coach, you're going to want to stay on at 8:30 when we stop. And if you're a client, the best thing to do is to go to that 8:30 call, the national call on hydration. There is the link right there. And wait a minute, I didn't send the link to all of you. So hold on a second. Oh my God. I am just having a technically interesting moment. Okay, there we go. So we'll see everybody next week. Take good care and see you next week.